Lately, I've realized that I'm insanely afraid of failure. I don't really know why, but I do know that it'll be detrimental to my future success. I remember when I was in elementary school playing games like Capture the Flag in gym class. It's kind of a dumb example, but for some reason, I would often stand like right at the line that you couldn't go across, or the line that you could go across, but if you go on the other side, then people can pull your flag and you could be out. But I would always stand at that line, so afraid to cross. And even in something as low stakes as that, I would get the feeling with butterflies in my stomach, scared of the potential of failure if I did cross that line. And I think a lot of us can relate to that in other areas of our life, such as starting a YouTube channel or talking to this girl that you like. There's so many things that inevitably bring the possibility of failure, and for some reason that deters us from ever even trying. And I think I've come to the realization that failure is necessary. In order to see success, you have to fail. That's what makes the success worth it. That's what makes it special. We can't just go all our lives going up right up to that line, but just being too afraid to cross it. Because if we don't try, we don't fail, we're definitely not going to succeed, and you're going to be in way worse of a place than you would be if you did try and fail. We always look at failure as the enemy, but it's really the leading catalyst to our growth. It makes us who we are. And I noticed that I've been going through my life just trying to avoid failure as much as possible. Like there's this genuine fear inside of me of failure, and I just don't know why. It's like it's always been there. And I think it's just a recipe for disaster. A recipe for complacency, a recipe for a life that I don't want. Maybe we're so afraid of failure because we're afraid of what other people could think of us. But the older I get, the more I realize that other people's opinions don't really matter. It feels like they do. It really feels like they do, but a vast majority of the people I go to high school with, 2-3 years, I'm not going to see them. Why am I letting other people control my life? We always talk about this saying, control what you can control. This is a perfect example of that. You can control your own life. You can control your actions. You can control how you respond to things, respond to adversity. You can control yourself stepping over that line that we were talking about earlier. And just to go back to that example real quick, there's a lot of times I can remember being so afraid to cross that line for like 90% of the game. And then right at the end, I would realize that it's not so bad. We're always focused on the possibility of failure, but with that, there's also the possibility of success. You can go get the flag, you can run it back to your side without getting your flag pulled. It is possible to be successful. Almost all of the successful people you see in the world around you, they grew up just like you. They didn't have anything fancy. They just had the courage to face something that most people aren't willing to face. And that's trying and failing, trying and failing, trying again, failing, and then finally succeeding. What if you were willing to fail? What if that's what separates the average person from the successful person? You could almost think of it as the only true failure is the failure to fail. Just came up with that off the top of my head. I don't know if that's a quote. I can think of so many things that I'm just so afraid to do. So afraid that it's almost like I just have it programmed in my mind that I can't do this certain thing. But what makes me so different than all the other people that have already done it? It'd probably be pretty hard to name any differences. I guess the main point is it's okay to fail. And most times failing is better than not failing, because failure is going to teach you more than anything else could. And if you live your life in this constant fear of failure, you're probably not going to get very far. This whole video is basically like advice for myself. I hope you found this valuable in some way. I didn't script any of this video, I usually do, so it was kind of weird. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. If you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.